Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, School Shelter Partnerships with ARP-HCY and Beyond. My name is Barbara Duffield. I am the Executive Director of SchoolHouse Connection. And just a little bit of housekeeping to get things started today. This is a webinar that will last 1 hour. If you could please type any questions you have for the presenters into the Q&A or for us into the Q&A panel. We are definitely recording this session. We will issue certificates for attendance, and we encourage everyone to please continue this conversation in the SHC community on Slack. It's a really cool, a very cool application that allows real-time conversation between peers, and we'll continue the conversation about this topic there afterwards. For those of you who are new to SchoolHouse Connection, just a real quick overview. We are a national nonprofit organization working to overcome homelessness through education, prenatal through post-secondary. We provide strategic advocacy at the state and federal level and practical assistance, as well as our youth leadership and scholarship program, which we'll talk a little bit at the very end because our scholarship application deadline is coming up right around the corner. Lots of resources on our website. Today, our focus is on specifically some of the unique school shelter partnerships that are possible because of the American Rescue Plan Homeless Children and Youth Funds. So at this point in the game, we want to make sure everybody understands how broadly these funds can be used for. They have to be obligated by September 30th, 2024. But last September, the U.S. Department of Education issued guidance on all the ways in which they can be used, including some new ways. And the Department of Education really emphasizes partnerships with community-based organizations for wraparound services. So this, our focus today is really kind of zeroing in on the kind of community-based partnerships that schools can undertake with ARP-HCY funds and how to sustain those. So looking beyond ARP as well. So just a quick reminder about this guidance. If you don't already have it, we'll have links for the chat. And on the last, one more slide before we introduce our illustrious presenters for today and have the conversation. Melissa Douglas, our McKinney-Vento liaison from Kansas City Public Schools in Missouri, is presenting today with Jessica Brown, Director of Adult and Clinical Services at Restart, Inc. And they have prepared a wonderful sample scope of services. So because Melissa may refer to this, Jessica may refer to this in the course of the presentation, we want to know exactly where it is. We have it available in a PDF format and also in a Word document. And as you can see, we're taking these webinar series and we're turning them into 2-pagers, just quick tips around specific use of funds. So purchasing a vehicle, motel stays, summer activities. This week we did one on chronic absence. And then we had a webinar yesterday on using ARP-HCY for car repairs. And that will be a new resource as well. So with that, I will ask Karen to stop sharing the screen and we will turn over to introductions. So I already sort of gave announced to you, but Melissa and I were in an airport in New Orleans last fall, and she said, wait a minute, I've got this great partnership in the works, which is sort of how we came to this topic. So if you could both introduce yourselves and then maybe just segue right into sort of what are some of why you chose this partnership and a little bit about what it entails.
Okay. Jessica, I'll let you start.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. Barbara introduced me, Jessica Brown, Director of Adult and Clinical Services at Restart. And Melissa, do you want me to start talking about the partnership or is...
Well, here, let me start. Okay. I'm Melissa Douglas. I'm the McKinney-Vento liaison for Kansas City Public Schools in Kansas City, Missouri. And this partnership was formed based off another partnership that we're in the works of doing, planning within our community. And so we had a lot of the local COCs that had come together in order to really voice some concerns and provide a lot of thought behind turning one of our unused school buildings into some type of housing, something drop-in spot for our unaccompanied youth. And that conversation evolved over some months. And then we ended up having more ongoing conversations with the director of our Restart family shelter that we have. And so Jessica's representing Restart. And so with her director, Stephanie Boyer, we were able to come to the conclusion that, hey, you know what, there are some family rooms that aren't being properly occupied. and we could possibly help that through our ongoing partnership. So what we did is that we got our thoughts together and we figured out what would be the best way to use the ARP funds that we have, but also at the same time continue to foster a great relationship within the school district with our community partner, Avenue of Life, which is our backbone organization, as well as with Restart, our local shelter or our local resource that we have. And so we got excited, and some people in our philanthropic community, they got excited too, because those are three major logos within the community, and we're all coming together collectively to service our families that are in need. So that's our brief overview. So again, it came out of an original partnership that we have, just trying to address a vacant building within our community that then evolved into, hey, we can do more. And we're going to leverage the federal dollars that we have, because it was a lot of dollars. It was a great windfall that, most of the school districts received. And we wanted to be real good stewards of the dollars that we received. So we wanted to foster this partnership. So also with my ARP dollars, I was able to do what we call KCPS empowerment, which is very similar, close cousins to the KCK Impact Program. And so we're using the same backbone organization of Avenue of Life that the KCK school district uses. But the difference is that now we have taken it one step further, and then we were able to bring in Restart to really just help leverage the dollars that we have, but also at the same time, really just trying to make sure that we can keep those family rooms filled, provide that intensive case management that we're already providing, and making sure that our kids are enrolled and able to access school and school-related activities without any issues or any barriers. And so that's where Jessica and her team comes into play. So KCPS already had a relationship with Avenue of Life. So that's part of that scope of service. So we had that. And then Avenue of Life on our behalf of KCPS did a more extended scope of service, or a more extended service agreement with Restart that spells out a little bit more clarity. So that snapshot you have is just really, it's a snapshot, and you can make it as extensive as you need to. But those are the things that we all agreed upon collectively to say, okay, you can hold us accountable for this, you can hold us accountable for that, but not for that. And so everybody clearly knows their role, that, what you call the school district or you call my office, specifically if there is enrollment and transportation issues, if we're having some ongoing case management issues where we're like, hey, we need some additional support to get to doctor's appointments and some other triage type things, then that would be our Avenue of Life case managers. So everybody knows exactly what their lane is, so that we're able to be consistent with the families, as well as provide that ongoing service that we are trying to do. Jessica?
Yeah. Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to recap what Melissa is saying, we are doing those things and working collaboratively with the case managers through Avenue of Life. On Restart's end, so we currently have 13 suites, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom family style suites. And we do have a case manager also on site for the families as well to work with. That's a Restart employee. And she meets with the families at least once a week, does daily check-ins, and supports the Avenue of Life case manager in working on the goals that families need to achieve in order to obtain safe, stable housing. Along with our case manager here in our location, we have supportive services such as employment services. We have mental health and substance use services, and we provide 3 meals a day in a cafeteria setting as well. We also have 24/7, 365 staff and security for restricted access for our building. So unless you're a resident or employee or community partner, such as a case manager, you are not allowed to come in to Restart just as you please. People are buzzed in and buzzed out to provide that additional level of security. We also have 24/7, 365 on-call staff. So if there's someone who's in a mental health crisis at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, there's always support available to assist our front desk team. Their title is guest support representatives, sorry. And they provide them with we provide them, the on-call team, with the supportive services. If folks are in a mental health crisis, or if there's any type of domestic violence or something going on with the children, whatever that is, we provide that support as well.
That's great. So schools part of this, and then there's the restarts part of this. Talk a little bit, if you could, about ARP-HCY specifically, and how, if how much money, if you want to say, you're able to contribute, how you negotiated that with the school district, and specifically for, again, thinking about people who may still have their ARP-HCY dollars left and wanting to know what are you using those funds for exactly, and how did you do it? How'd you pull it off?
Well, that's funny because there's a chain going around, email chain within Missouri, with other liaisons asking how they're using their dollars. So what we were able to do is that, because we wanted to provide that collective impact where we are bringing all the providers over to one location, mainly my building, because I want them at my building, and so that we have families coming, so that we are interacting with them. We couldn't do all of the heavy lifting, making sure that we have the providers at the table, making sure that we have the families at the table as well. So what we were able to do is we went into a formal partnership with Avenue of Life, and that is our community partner. I apologize for them not being on the call, but Avenue of Life is our community partner, and what we were able to do is we spelled out a specific service agreement that says that what we are going to do is they're going to provide the intensive case management. They're going to provide all of the wraparound services. They're going to work our families for us, because it's cheaper for us to use a contract with our ARP dollars. And we used basically other purchase services, because it is a service that they're providing, so that we're able to use those federal dollars first, and then those grant dollars, and then whatever additional dollars that comes after that. So we have that very formal agreement. And so then we came up with a negotiated price. And so they bill me once a month. And as they bill me, I'm able to encumber those dollars, and they get paid out so that they can continue to work on our behalf. So the partnership with Restart is that it's a layered partnership. So we have our Avenue of Life, which is our main community partner, who can do things with dollars that we can't do as school districts. Okay, so again, keeping in the spirit in which the dollars were given, making sure that we go and we are engaging our community partners. And so you probably have one community partner that's better than the other, that you're like, hey, you know what, we're able to wiggle around and do, and it's not just looking for a community partner that's going to provide hotel stays. So we wanted something so that we didn't have to try to, fork over a couple $100s or thousands of dollars for, one family in a hotel stay. We want to change behaviors so that we can get them to some type of total and permanent housing solution that's appropriate for them. And so that's why we went forth with that partnership with Avenue of Life, and then put the partnership on top of Avenue of Life with Restart. So Restart and Avenue of Life, KCPS. And I'm able to fund it through our ARP dollars, because again, it is that direct service that the community partner is providing. So because they can be a little bit more broad, and then as broad as I can get is other purchase services.
And if you could walk us through, like, what is it sort of practically from the time you identify a family who may be a candidate, how you do that? If you could just sort of walk us through what that looks like.
Absolutely. So in order to be referred to a Restart, because now here's the thing, Restart is not closed to our community. Restart still has other beds, and Jessica can talk about that too. We're just specifically contracting with them specifically on their family shelters, because if we didn't do this, and Jessica, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that you'll be able to have them all that capacity like they are now. And so the thing is what we do is that we get a referral. We find out this particular family is qualifying for McKinney-Vento. We do our regular standard practice first. We qualify the families. We make sure that they are lacking a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. We're following our regular McKinney-Vento protocol. Once we then deem that that family is a program participant, they do meet those qualifications. Now we're visiting with that family. My team and I, my McKinney-Vento caseworkers, are visiting with that family, trying to assess generally what is it that we need to fix. What band-aid are we putting over a bullet hole right now? And so that we can meet some needs, so that while we're having that conversation, we can then make that referral over to our community partner, Avenue of Life, and then we can give them a brief synopsis of what's going on. Usually within 24, 48 hours, they're trying to make contact with that family so that they're like, okay, now we are legitimately doing intensive case management for our KCPS empowerment program. It does not get you directly to restart, but it does start the ball, because a lot of people are saying, hey, that's too much work. We don't want to do it. You know, we're not ready yet. And we have some people that are not. Then once they sit down and they map out their goals, they identify what their ACEs scores are. Then we're like, okay, what's our next step? What are we trying to do? You know, are there evictions? Are there legal issues? Are there job issues, food insecurities? What are we trying to meet the need at? And so that may be a couple of conversations. That may just be, you know, one intensive conversation, but Avenue of Life is doing all of that. Then what we do is that we host our Empowerment Fridays. And so our Empowerment Fridays are roughly every 2 weeks, give or take, some district programming. And then what will happen is that that family is invited to Empowerment Fridays. They're going to go to the designated locations that they need to go to get that yes from that other community partner. And then in the meantime, while we're working on that permanent housing solution, should a family room be available and that's in the best interest of that particular family, then we're going to go ahead and tap into that resource of getting them moved into Restart and making sure that they are sufficient in that way. So that's kind of our process. We're doing it all at the same time.
And Jessica, can you share a little bit from a community service provider perspective? Like, what are the benefits of working with the school district as a partner? And sort of, you know, because we may have people listening who are on the community service provider who are thinking about working with their school district. So a little bit about how you see that being beneficial.
Yeah. So generally all of our families have kiddos in the Kansas City Public School District. And so being able to ensure that the kiddos are attending school regularly and that they have that supportive services through the school has been an exceptional partnership with them. And you know, when we have challenges with transportation or whatnot, having the connection with Melissa and her team has been essential for ensuring students are being taken to school within a timely manner. I think that's what I can think of in general that has been great. And we, you know, receiving referrals as well from them, you know, making sure that beds are being utilized 100% of the time, making sure turnover for when a family moves out and the preparation for a new family moving in. Generally it's less than 5 days. So and just getting people in the door and off of the street or wherever they're staying has been wonderful.
And correct me, both of you, but how did this in some ways sidesteps the the COC coordinated entry process? So how does it's separate from that, which I think is appealing for a lot of people.
It is. And so what happens, because of the coordinated entry, we try to make sure those individuals that can access our coordinated entry are invited to our Empowerment Friday. So there is a email that was sent, and I'm gonna go ahead and answer that from Melissa Fitzgibbon. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. It says, what are some topics for the Empowerment Fridays and what type of community organizations are invited? So the community organizations that are invited is everybody that we can possibly think of that there is a direct connection to. So we have, so specifically like a Bishop Sullivan Center or even a Hope Faith Ministries, they already have a direct connection or a direct access to our COC, not our COC, but to our coordinated entry programming. And so we want somebody there because I don't have access as the school district. So we want to make sure that we can at least get them in the system and get their days of homelessness counted, so that if public housing becomes available, like vouchers got flooded in our city during COVID, but Kansas City, not the suburbs, but Kansas City, landlords didn't want to take them. So that was a bigger issue that we weren't quite aware of, but we just kept hearing come over and over again. So we want to invite all of those individuals to the table. So we have somebody from the housing authority that comes. We have what we found to be really a great partner is our legal aid department, and we have what we call justice in schools. So we have a designated individual that works with legal aid that really tries to stay within, a certain pathway, but to really just address our evictions and some custody issues that we have with some of our families. And so Justice in Schools is there, and then, they have opportunity to make ongoing appointments. We have a representative from our medical community, because we do have some community medical assistants like Sam Rogers or Swope, as well as University Health. And then especially with University Health, because we have this catchment area. If you're on this side of town, you go to this place. If you're on this side of town, you go to this other place, so that we can be able to have some type of mental health provider right there. On site, so that they can bypass having to try to call and make an appointment, but like actually getting them in the system. So whoever you can think of to come and that will say, hey, you want to show up, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it every 2 weeks, or it's going to be on this day and this day, and we have it mapped out for the whole school year. Then we want them to be there, credit repair people, anybody that wants to, that's dealing with like employment. So some of your employment agencies, some of those agencies that are specifically target towards felony friendly. So felony friendly employment, and then also trying to find felony friendly apartments as well as sex offender apartments. Those are, huge milestones that people need to get over, that they actually need help with, so that they know where to go and really just trying to advocate. So it's like, it is a who do you know, and so that we can have a conversation. So all first semester, that's all we were doing, was just really just trying to increase our capacity to have community partners at the table. So we were always having ongoing conversations about, this is our KCPS empowerment. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to remove the barriers of transportation, because in our city, north-south transportation is phenomenal. East-west is questionable. And so we're trying to bring everybody together. I promise you, we'll just only take one morning. We won't be excessive. And so that we can really just go and meet the needs of our families. And usually everybody's okay. And we definitely have what we call some of our adult ed type programs. So KC Scholars, Literacy KC, those entities that will help allow even our KCPS adult ed program, so that our parents can go ahead and get their high school diploma, not high school diplomas, but their GEDs through the high set. So we are trying to meet the whole need of the family. So those are the partners that we have. Now the topics, we do have 4 classes that we provide continually to make sure that we're helping to change behaviors. And that would be our Housing 101 class, really just trying to understand, the lease, as well as making sure that, are you a good tenant? We do have an organization that's a KC Tenants Group that just really just tries to help advocate when, families, tenants feel like they are being abused, in the sense of like the vouchers were no longer being taken in the city. Kind of some of the proactive steps that they can take, or the landlord won't fix anything, and these are landlord problems and not tenant problems. And so, KC Healthy Homes, really just trying to tell them, what pathway to go. So Housing 101, Employment 101, we want to make sure that we're really setting families up for success. So, teaching interviewing skills, as well as, mock interviews, but also at the same time, just really taking the time to really go and complete resumes and complete applications, and making sure that we have the resource available to them, because a lot of applications are done online. And because they're done online, they don't have the resource. So yeah, we're going to have the laptops here so that you're able to go and do that. And we might have to repair some credit at the same time, so that you can apply for employment. So Housing 101, Employment 101, Finance 101, that one is ongoing. Okay, that one's just an ongoing class, really just trying to make sure that we can get more money out of what it is that we have, because I don't know about you all, sometimes there's too much month after left at the end of the money. And so because of that, then we want to make sure that we're changing those behaviors. Whereas, yeah, you got your income tax check, but is it in your best interest to buy a new car? Or is it, in your best interest to have an emergency fund, you know, so those types of things. And then we have healthcare 101, which has been huge because oftentimes we don't know how to advocate for ourselves medically. The doctor says XYZ and we just take that as golden, not really understanding, hey, you know what, I may have some underlying issues that you're not really addressing and you're not listening to me. So we do have those 4 classes to really just kind of help change behaviors, how to proactively advocate for yourself besides cussing everybody out. So.
And, so remind me if this is relative, like you finalized this partnership with Restart and your ARP funds relatively recently, right? It was,
Yes.
And so if you could share a little bit, both of you, about some of the benefits for families and for children specifically that you've already seen, even in these early stages, and then what you foresee as benefits as the partnership unfolds, starting with children in terms of their well-being and academics, and then overall sort of family functioning. So you're early, if you could share what you've observed early so far, and like how many families you've served, and what you anticipate moving forward.
Okay, Jessica, you go ahead and kick it off.
Yeah, so since our partnership started January 1, we've served a total of 19 families. The program is a 90-day program. Some folks stay a little longer depending on if they're waiting for housing to be, like their unit to be ready, or another program that they would do better at. We've served 47 children in this time period also. And we've had 4 families so far exit to safe and stable permanent housing. So that's been wonderful. I think, as we all know, without housing, we cannot take care of ourselves in all aspects, right? So being able to see families address their medical needs, whether that's with their children or with themselves, for mental health and physical health, dental health. And we also have something I forgot to say. We have a clinic who are come to Restart on Saturdays, and there's a physician there and nurses, and they can write out prescriptions, and they can prescribe like immediately like ibuprofen and Tylenol and stuff like that, but they can write prescriptions for antibiotics or any other treatments. But the clinic in-house has been really helpful for folks because it's right there in the same building for all of our clients to utilize. And we've had a couple families who have children with asthma. We've been able to provide prescription inhalers and things like that, and send referrals to other providers. So having them in one place to be able to access those services has been essential for overall healthcare needs.
So on the back end, right now we're in the middle of closing out the school year, so I don't have all of my data in. Just know that we've increased our numbers. But more importantly, what I'm talking to the families, because I'm right there, just trying to make sure that we are fully engaged, so that they know that the school district is not just saying, oh, we just referred you and now we're hands off. So the conversations that I've been having with the parents is like, oh my gosh, my kids are excited about school because they've been going consistently. And that's the win. That's what we want. We want kids to stay enrolled in school, stay at their school of origin, and be there consistently on time. Now, we've had some transportation problems all school year. But, again, but they were just very excited that we were able to, really just try to address the need so that we can get the kids to school. And so that's just been it's just been a burden lifted for some of the moms and everything that we've talked to, that the kids can still keep that programming. So I'm excited to see really what the data is going to show us about that. Now, the progression of this is that, yes, we know that the ARP dollars are going to expire. And so we kind of...
On everyone's mind right now. They're like, this is cool. How are you going to sustain it?
Right. And so the sustainability is that we have a great philanthropic community. And so what we've done is that I can't make an ask outside of the district. So I have to go through my education foundation. And so with my education foundation, we asked one of our ongoing community partners to like, hey, can you just take care of half a semester for us? I mean, not half of, but one half of the year, one semester for us, because We know that we're still tiptoeing our way through, but the goal is to have the philanthropic community come and pick up the slack. And so they did. We were able to get the Church of the Resurrection's Easter offering, which was such a cool phone call because it was over spring break and it was out of the blue. And they were like, hey, we're going to do this. And I'm like, wow, okay. And so we came over to Jessica's location and, just really just talked a little bit more about how those dollars really go to support our community, really go towards to meeting the need of the families. Because again, what we would do with our ARP dollars is that we would pay for that hotel motel room, but then we would have to come out of pocket even more on top of that to pay for transportation, to also pay for food. And so because, with Restart, we're able to come in at a much lower cost per unit. And then they're already providing that food service that, that the families need. So they don't have any scarcity there. They don't have to figure out, do I have enough? Where am I going to get it? And then because they are really a rock's throw from my office, we can get them to the district school that they need to be in. So it was a win-win all the way around. And so, the Church of the Resurrection, actually, they saw that immediately. And I was like, oh, yes, we want to help support. And so, again, we're still in ongoing conversations to get, so right now for the 24-25 school year, first semester is funded. And so we're working on making sure that we can get the rest of the year funded as well. But just tapping into that and going to make that large dollar as with our, in the support of our education foundation, as the district puts out its priorities, empowerment is a priority so that we're able to garner those dollars.
And that's, Karen and I just gave each other a look because we've been hearing over and over again that education foundations are an incredible resource for McKinney-Vento liaisons, and both for sustaining anything ARP-HCY and just sort of ongoing support. And thinking about others who are maybe listening to this, who maybe have ARP-HCY dollars to spend and they want to see what they can do in their community, is there any advice that you both would give specifically about some of the logistical, legal, or any other challenges that you had to, what are the if you to do this over again, things that were sticky that you wish you would have known, that you can give advice to other people as they're approaching partners and thinking about how to work something out? It all went so smoothly.
I mean, I think, we knew what the need was for and we're serving still like the community in general. And for Restart's family emergency shelter, the only qualification is you have to have kiddos, right? And so our connection together, we've already previously worked together and getting kiddos enrolled in school and things like that. So I feel like in general, we're very family focused together, and it's been great. So, there's always some challenges with communication, but with the community and people understanding how do I qualify, how do I get referred, and those things. But I think that we've done a really great job to make sure we're targeting those conversations appropriately and educating the community and in-house our teams. So.
Oh, absolutely. It's been an excellent partnership in that regards. The conversation has been, and the reason why this is working out so well, because Restart is a partner that's with the district no matter what. They are in our footprint. They are there. So we are their resource. They'll call us. I'm like, hey, I have this family. We don't know where they go. I'm like, let's look them up. Oh, they belong to Independence or KCK or somewhere else. And so we help them get them to the right location. So regardless if we had ARP funds or philanthropic funds, we will continue and always continue to work with Restart because they are our shelter. They are where our kids are. We want to make sure that they are always supported in anything that we do. So they know that we are the biggest champion for them. So that's the reason why the logos coming together is very important within our community. So I got another question here. It says, from Patricia Carlson, says, who's teaching those one-on-one classes and how are they paid for? Excellent question. So on the teaching of the one-on-one classes, this is where we let our partners shine. And so what we do is that on their area of expertise, we ask them, you know, hey, do you already have some type of presentation put together so that we can discuss this? And so we also, Avenue of Life also does have some presentations that we provide to the families as well, because sometimes we have to do it via Zoom because of timing issues, but nobody's paid. It's volunteer because we want to share the information and we want to help aid in changing behaviors. But specifically with our healthcare one-on-one, we were very much able to get University Health and have their nurses come in and actually provide advocacy and provide that ongoing conversation in that regard. So that's huge. We allow the partners to continue to participate, to shine, to be able to help educate the families, because they're not just our KCPS families, they are our city's families as well. And then there's another question from Melissa that says, do you get around coordinated entry in the COC because you aren't getting HUD funding? Because we are tapping into all of the resources within the city, we are kind of getting around the coordinated entry. But the thing is that there's families before they come to us, they may have already gone to try to get on the public housing list or try to get a Section 8 list. And so what we try to do is we try to work hand in hand with those other advocates that they may have, that they already have on hand, so that we can help foster that permanent housing solution. Because especially if somebody has a mental health voucher and they just need us to just kind of handhold so that the education piece stays, then we want to do that. They don't necessarily need anything from us other than, hey, we just want to check in and tell you how we're doing. So with that being said, that's we are really just want to leverage everything, the best out of everybody.
And one more, with respect to coordinated entry and the whole challenge that many communities have with getting housing for families who are homeless but who don't meet HUD's definition.
Yeah.
But just to clarify, the families that you're able to put in shelter and work through housing include doubled up. It's not, you're able to use the broad McKinney-Vento definition.
Right. We use McKinney-Vento definition. We're not using HUD's definition, but at the same time, if our conversation will help them so that they can get to HUD's definition, that's going to get them housed, then yes, we are going to advocate.
Great. That's you. And it looks like you have another question.
Do I? Oh, the presentations. I would have to find those. I don't have access to them from Mercedes, but let me find those.
So one more question for both of you, and then everyone, please continue to, if you've got questions, please put them in the Q&A panel. But just again, just to this topic of advice. So it sounds like from what I'm hearing, this part of what made this work so well is you already knew each other. We already had a connection, and so this was like taking it, one step further. So for those who are listening, to think about who are my restarts, where's my avenue of life, how do I find those? How do I take those partnerships I have and expand them? And then there may be some who I don't, who are wondering how to find. They don't yet have that. So any advice you would give to people in both categories, people who may have relationships, but they need to move these dollars quickly, and then those who are like, how do I find my person?
Okay. So I would say for both groups, how do you find, and people that already have, offer a community breakfast. And so let me tell you what my breakfast consists of. It is a Keurig with some coffees that everybody could go and put, and you have your little fancy creamers and breakfast bars. That is it. I'm not going all out. I cannot demonstrate that I am being wasteful with these dollars by any means. And so you have a community breakfast and you just go down your United Way list and like, hey, I want to invite as many people as I possibly can to come to our community breakfast, just really so that we can, know who we are, know what we do. So you're giving a brief overview of McKinney-Vento and how you interact within the community. And then you ask them, hey, who, I have a sign up list. If you want additional information and you want to work to support us, then please write your information down so that we can have a one-on-one conversation. So now we can vet what it is that you do well and how we can support each other. So again, that's what we do. We have a community breakfast, and we invite those individuals, and we do that every year to say, hey, we just want to reconfirm our partnership. And, you know, and if you say, hey, you know what, our roles have changed, we can't do what we wanted to do, then this is an opportunity for you to share that information instead of having your community partners fall off and you forget about them. Because it is every intention to write thank you notes to community partners, but I can't. Because the minute I get started, I'm distracted and I'm doing something else. So, but if they know that I'm appreciating them at least once a year to be able to go ahead and be able to say, hey, you know what, we do appreciate what it is that you're doing. And here's an opportunity for us to showcase you as our partner. And everybody's coming together under, you know, really under one logo of the district. And we're supporting our McKinney-Vento families or all of our at-risk families so that we can move forward and, you know, and just make a better community. So it's not just the school district. The school district will thrive. And once the school district thrives, we also see that city thrives, Texas thrives, and it's a very full circle moment for the fact that if I have a place for my kid to go and feel safe, then my parent can go get that job that they're looking for. And that's what we do. And we have to start within the community, just saying, hey, thank you. And please just let me know how you want to help support us. And you can do that in partnership with maybe your communications team, or also if you don't have a communications team and you're a larger district, you have somebody that really just deals with partnerships for your district with your variety of buildings. That's a good list to work from as well. And so, and then if you're like, hey, I don't know where to go, then go to the local hospital and go to the local zoo, because what will happen is that they have a board of donors, and go talk to those people that are on that board of donors and just like, hey, I'm just reaching out. And you'll be amazed that people will actually respond.
That is beautiful. Karen, you've been silently nodding, smiling, and probably having many thoughts as well. So Karen, any questions that you have for Jessica or Melissa as you've been listening to the conversation and weaving in other things you've heard from other liaisons that kind of touch on these topics?
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say that I love the idea of a community breakfast to bring everyone together and get those partnerships started. So I am filing that away for a strategy to share, you know, when we're talking about building awareness and really building those community partnerships. So thank you for helping me to add another strategy to my list here. One question that I did have, and you talked about this a little bit, but I'm just wondering if you can maybe delve a little bit deeper into kind of how you navigated some of the conversations around with your business office around the contracts. And so I know you said it was relatively smooth to kind of get all of that moving. But just wondering kind of specifically, because we hear that barrier a lot from school districts, that, you know, getting to that initial hurdle of how do you broach that conversation? What kind of language do you use when you talk about it? Kind of how do you get through some of those challenges?
So the language I use, I'm like, the law said that I have to. And so, and I say it very sternly, I was like, I said, our number one job as liaisons is to enroll kids in school, make sure that we have transportation, have free lunch. And then I said, and our fourth, which is usually at the bottom, is make sure that we provide additional resources within our community. So this is allowing us to provide that and those additional resources. And so once I get that part, and I was like, that's what the law says. That's what it tells us to do. So then what we're able to do is that your district already has some type of service agreement. Do not recreate the wheel. Just find out what that service agreement is. If nobody wants to help you, you have board docs. You have some type of board something other that will be made public on service agreements within the district. So that's public information. So you just have to go to your website and navigate that. What then is you take that service agreement and then you go and you modify it specifically to you, telling your story. That background information is phenomenal. That's where you're putting down, hey, you know what, we have over 1,300 McKinney-Vento students that have been identified in the last, 1 year or 2 years, as compared to our total enrolled population is XYZ. And then what you're doing is you're saying, okay, we're doing this and we're providing the services that we're supposed to, but we want to go over and beyond. We want to add tools to our toolkit. And this is how we're able to do that within the language of your service agreement. So step one is go find a current service agreement that provides a service, just a service, okay? Because I don't know how all Title coding is for budget, but we're looking for a service, or if you're looking for a specific product, you know, you do something a little bit different. But for that service, that's what we want to do. And then if you go and you look at that simple scope of service, I try to be as descriptive as possible to really just share you know, what it is that you want to do. And so so in our role with Restart, it says Restart is going to provide the following. And then underneath that, it says KCPS Empowerment is going to provide the following. And it's just really listing down what everybody is going to do. So we can't ask you for any more or any less. And then it also will identify in your service agreement the total dollars in which you're going to spend. So that is a very formal way to say this is what we want to do. One of the things that we do have, that we have an ongoing service agreement with, is our Eye Care Optical, where our students, they use a voucher that's provided through our school nurses that we provide directly to the school nurses every year, that says that the student can go and get their eyes checked and get glasses. So we have a contracted negotiated price. We're going to say the scope of services, that it doesn't exceed that contracted price. And this is how much we plan on spending. So if it's $5,000, if it's $7,000, if it's $30,000, it really doesn't matter on the dollar amount, because that is the legal contract. So go find a sample contract, and then you just modify it to your specific needs, being as clear and precise as possible.
And I put in the chat the PDF version of what Melissa prepared on our website. And when you get the PowerPoint, you'll see there's also a Word version, which makes it very easy to edit and modify. And then we also have on our ARP-HCY page a whole section of, you know, others that we've collected about various things that can be modified, like gas cards tracking, all those sorts of things. So
right. Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, I'm definitely available. If anybody wanted to, like, just email me directly, they can. The email is pretty simple. It's homelessservices, all one word, at kcpublicschools.org. And so, and I can type that in as well. That's just our general mailbox. And I will see that, and I'll be able to answer. And then I will talk to my community partners to see if they allow me to share those PowerPoints, or maybe even at least just share one of them, so that you can have an example. But again, you're going to tailor this directly to your community, your needs. I won't say that we're a large school district. We're probably mid-sized, about 15,000 enrolled, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But we cater it directly to what it is that we need, because I have about 7 other school districts that are surrounding me, that my families hop around to.
it's amazing, amazing, amazing. All right, well, we still have time for questions. I want to share a couple new pieces from SchoolHouse Connection. So Karen, if you don't mind firing up ye old PowerPoint while we wait to see if more questions come in. We are near the end of the school year, and we have one last webinar on ARP-HCY before 2024 is over. So on May 21st, our full K-12 team will do an ARP-HCY help desk. So last minute questions that come up about obligating funds, strategies for doing that, questions about extended liquidation. We'll have one last session before this school year ends. And then on the next slide, I wanted to remind everybody that the Youth Leadership and Scholarship Program, SchoolHouse Connections Youth Leadership and Scholarship Program, now that deadline is coming up right around the corner. So we've changed it this year so that we are able to award scholarships to young people earlier, and that this will allow us to help them select a college or a higher education program that best suits their needs, get ahead of some of the financial aid issues. So there's information more on that website there, including flyers to get out about the YLS scholarship program. And another resource that we just actually blasted out this morning was we're very concerned about the FAFSA and unaccompanied homeless youth, with all of the challenges that were made, all of the challenges, the delay in the 24-25 FAFSA. So we are really trying to wrap our brains around what is happening. Are young people getting through the process? Are they waiting for awards? Are there any challenges? So for both youth, if anyone you know or your counselors to forward who are actually actively helping homeless youth and foster youth complete the FAFSA or trying to, we would love to have their feedback. So again, it informs our advocacy with the U.S. Department of Ed, our advocacy with Congress, and also it informs the sort of tools and technical assistance that we provide. So if you didn't see that, that's another resource. And then I believe lastly, there may be one more slide. Oop, we can see what Karen's just in the one more commercial advertisement for the SHC Slack community. And again, this is what it looks like. So it's for many school districts, this has allowed them to get about blocks with Facebook, not able to join Facebook from your school district. So we've launched this pretty recently, and already it's been a great way for direct liaisons connecting directly with other liaisons. So, you know, if somebody's got a practice, you want to know about it to make that direct connection. So I think that is, let me see if there are any more questions that have popped up. I don't think so. We do have everyone's contact information here. Jessica and Melissa, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your wisdom and your inspiration. And we will see everyone in another webinar or another conference soon. Thank you.
Thank you.